Good evening, friends. Today we are going to talk about Spring Boot. See, very frankly, when it comes to Spring Boot, it's purely from Java territory. That's the very first thing, and I would say it is a framework that is actually purely built upon your Spring framework. The idea is to like provide the simplified development way for your Java-based applications. So if you are looking for JSP, if you are looking for servlets, if you are looking for your Hibernate-based applications, right? So wherein like you want to have some OR model to be there. So I would say Spring Boot would be the best choice to step into, right? In reality, it provides like I would say streamlined way to create your standalone applications wherein we are purely working on your Java, your production ready Spring Boot applications, applications actually with very like basic configuration, right? And we'll see that yes, by having those configuration files, so it would be very easier to work upon our web application actually. In reality, Spring Boot, I would say, being a platform or a framework, it comes up with your inbuilt servers like your Tomcat or Jetty, right? So these are the, uh, I would say, plain servers which are helpful to host your application out there, right? And see, in this series, right? So we are going to trigger the Spring Boot when you are looking for, let's say, GSP application. Let's say you want to design one GSP application wherein uh, somewhere else you want to design your some GSP pages, and we'll also talk about Spring Boot as a service, right? So where we will place some of the methods, either they are returning plain string, they are returning some object, they are returning, like if I'm saying object means I'm saying somewhere else your Java, sorry, JSON objects, right? So the idea is when the client like GSP or let's say any Java application, even the front based Java application, or if it is even let's talk about .NET also, or the React applications leader. So if these kind of clients wants to communicate with the Spring Boot services, they can do it quite easily. So the idea would be we are about to create a platform through which we can create services, and what we want is those services to uh, mainly to return something. Second, it may possible they are going to receive some values. I mean, like services methods, they are going to receive some values, and depending on calculations, they are about to return something. So that's the basic idea about your Spring Boot. So let's start from the basics, right? From slides perspective, what is there in your Spring Boot and so on. So like I said, it is an open source Java based framework, so mainly used for mainly crafted on the basis of your Java, and it is used to create your standalone applications, your production based application with very minimum like configuration. You will see that I'll show you some tool wherein on the basis of those tools you will find that it's very sophisticated way of having your Spring Boot application, right? In reality, it simplifies the process of setting up and deploying Spring applications by providing defaults and conventions for a wide range of functionalities, including embedded server, security, and data access. Yeah, that's very true, and you will see very soon that when we'll be working on security, you will notice that by having couple of parameter specification, you'll get very good base of your security. There is no need to get into servers. Like I said, like we have embedded servers out there. One is Tomcat, the other one is JD. So these are the servers through which we can build upon your Spring Boot applications, right? And that's very true. Like they said, it simplifies the process of setting up. See, that's very true. I remember when we have to let's say create a service, then you have to provide some methods there in the service to register that service as an web service so that people or client can use those services. So it was very tedious task, right? And not only that, you can imagine that if you are working with, let's say, Hibernate applications within the Spring Boot, or let's say if you have to introduce your ORM model within your application, so then it would be a very very tedious task, right? So in that case, yeah, I would say Spring Boot is ultimate choice. And yeah, practically when we see that how it's working, so then we'll get better clarity and better idea how we can uh, implement those pieces right on our own. Now when it comes to key features of Spring Boot, see, we should know, like, very frankly, we should know that why we should go for, like, what are the verticals on which Spring Boot is relying on, right? So the very first thing is auto configuration. So like we discussed earlier, so there are some configuration and specifications are there which are like quite automatic, right? Now if you are saying automatic, you'll see very soon that why we are calling as to be as an automatic, right? Standalone, yes, exactly, like I said, it's like we have Tomcat or a JD servers, right, through which we can on which we can run your Java applications out there, right? Production ready, yes, that's somehow right, because it includes your server, your some of the features like matrix. You want to check the health checks and all that about your Spring Boot application. So there will be a externalized configuration file also would be there, wherein we can do it quite easily, right? Opinionated defaults, right? That simply says it gives you default configuration to reduce boilerplate code and speed up your development, right? So some of the built-in, you can say, functionality you will be coming across, wherein with very basic stuff you can enjoy your life out there, right? Then yes, that's the last one I would say is ultimate, because that says Spring Initializer. We'll see if there is a specific website, or you can say it is a web-based tool to create or to generate your Spring Boot projects, right? So, in one sense, if you'll say that if I'm not at all comfortable in providing the different verticals for Spring Boot projects, don't worry. Someone is there, like for us, that is called Spring Initializer, who take care of the entire piece, right? So you'll see that by providing some configuration, yes, things will be altogether different. Yeah, here is your Spring Initializer, wherein we can provide some of the parameters for to, to generate your Spring Boot application. Now, if I have to compare, see why comparison is required, I would say somehow good, because that will give you the clarity where you stand, right? Or where Spring Boot stands, and what are the competitors, what other languages or the tech stack, right? They are using it to hit your Spring Boot based framework, right? Now, from Python perspective, yes, we have Django. So, wherein I can say your ORM model or LPC model can be implemented. From Ruby, yes, we have Ruby on Rails, right? So that is again a good way to have your framework. Again, Express.js, again, that's a Node.js tool, right? So wherein we can enjoy our life to provide your services. ASP.NET Core, yes, as far as C Sharp is concerned, so we have ASP.NET Core, IPC, right, wherein we can start writing down those uh, web-based services, right? Laravel, yes, again a PHP like framework, which is specially meant for working upon your frameworks that are quite sync with your Spring Boot. This chart, or this, you can say, table, I think so that it would be good to get the clarity among your Spring Boot, Django, your Ruby on Rails, Express.js, ASP.NET Core, or Laravel, right? Because I'll give you the idea, right, how they are correlated to each other. Are they really in sync with each other? Though they all uh, are the other products of different companies, right? Different well-known companies. But yes, at certain extent they are similar, and at a certain extent actually they are very very different, right? Now, how it your Spring Boot flows architecture architecture, right? So in that case, I would say our client would be at this level. So wherein we will be playing with our HTTP based, I would say maybe HTML based pages, maybe your JSP pages, right? So that would be at the client level itself. So they are going to interact with your HTTPS request, right, with the controller. So controller is the one like which is purely connected with the service layer, which one is connected with your repo class, right? So wherein the through DI we are interacting with those repos, and further it is being like connected with your database also, wherein it is via model it is giving your GPA, or you can say Spring Post, simple Spring based data towards your service layer. That's the basic architecture, I would say, right? Wherein we talk about your client, we talk about controller, where we are controlling the entire process, how to connect with the service and so on. And service in turn, they are connected with your repos as well as with your database. And then yes, that is through your model part, we are able to interact with your service layer. We'll come across soon, right? Very soon about those different verticals on our own, right? Now, when it comes to components, I mean, like on which this component, on which this Spring Boot is based upon, like I said earlier, so we have something called Spring Boot starters, right? So they are like, I would say, best way to provide your descriptors, right, within your Spring Boot applications, right, to especially use to design your Spring MVC based application, right? Then we have Spring Boot auto configuration. So like I said, it takes care of all the GPA based specification, how to define it with your class path. Yes, that would be there in your auto configuration. Spring Boot CLI, so it's very good because when it comes to provide some sort of more libraries, more interaction, right? So when you want to run those pieces, yes, you can quickly run those commands within the CLI, right? Then you have actuators, right? So they are the one through which production ready features to help you to monitor and to manage your application, to take care of your health metrics part and all. So everything would be there. So uh, from performance perspective, I would say this is very good vertical. Now, fifth vertical is our mainly is our territory, I would say, because here we are talking about Spring Boot dev tools, so which is like specially meant for the development experience. So all the features like your automatic restarts, like reloading of those changes, whichever you are doing it on your pages, so it should get reflected back automatically. Any sort of configuration which you are looking for the development of your application, yes, that is again a part of the Spring Boot dev tools, right? Initializer again, a good point to work on because when I say initializer, it'll give you the basic skeleton for your application, right? Which are bare minimum dependencies, configurations. So that would be there in that particular file actually. Spring Boot configuration properties, yes, exactly. In a easier word, I would say, let's say, for example, if you are looking for a particular application to be executed on a particular port number, go for this file, right? So this file is very useful not only for this port number, but yes, you'll come across on different lots of parameters, right? Like I have already mentioned, when you're looking for some sort of environmental variables, command line arguments, yes, you can go for this particular file, right? So that is, we have configuration properties file, right? It's good to go for, right? We'll see that even when you're looking for some sort of SQL specification, MySQL server specification, right? So you have to touch upon this particular file, right? Then we have Spring Boot security. Like I said, yeah, already that as far as security aspect is concerned in the Spring Boot, it's awesome. You will see that by just the inclusion of one line, your things will be altogether a secured way, right? And not only one line, you will see that there are different ways. But I said like one line because you'll see that by having that one inclusion, one line of inclusion, how it makes a difference in your entire application, right? Or or we can extend towards the higher part also, right? I mean, like towards more complexity. You want to apply OAuth, you apply your JWT, and so on, right? Yes, we can. Then we have Spring Boot data access also. Like I said, we can have connect with your Hibernate. We can have, yes, exactly. I will show you one program wherein very plain JDBC application can be drafted in this. So that means it's not like that only the Hibernate or high-end ORM based applications we can go for. We can go for your JDBC people, JDBC based code as well. So JDBC people who are purely into database connectivity through your JDBC, yes, they also can enjoy their life over here also within the Spring Boot. So precisely, I would say Spring Boot is for all, not only for Hibernate, right? Because I remember somebody was telling me that is it really I want to get into your Hibernate within your Java. So is it I need to get into your Spring Boot? The answer is no. It's not only that. For 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 JDBC also, yes, you can get into that, right? We'll see many more things because see, at certain level, at this level of initial program, so we can just talk about those verticals already. So I don't want to explain all those pieces right now because otherwise it will be a purely a confusion. So let's talk about those pieces later when we step into your ORM model, right? So then last one is your Spring Boot logging. So it says it configures a logging framework out of the box using common libraries like logback, log4j2, and Java util logging. See, when it comes to putting up things, what you are doing it, what you are implementing, if you want to be logged, yes, then you can say that yes, Spring Boot logging would be there for us, right? Now from one end we are okay with that, that okay fine, the Spring Boot is based upon this, and then we will be having these kind of components out there. But very important, who is gonna use Spring Boot? Is it the .NET people, Java people? Who? Even if it is Java people, who like I mean like which particular segment of your development they are about to use this, they should use Spring Boot, right? Actually, now, from Java developers' perspective, yes, that's very true. So the people who are into your Java applications, who want to build your applications quickly as soon as possible, kind of, or you can say based upon your RAD or your application development, yes. So they should go for that, right? So in reality, building your enterprise applications, your microservices, wherein you want some methods to be placed, so that methods will contain some logic, and then they will perform some action. Yes, those also. Then we can have it your web applications also, wherein we are talking about some sort of your JSP based application or servlet based application. Then we can provide some sort of communication to that. REST API, yes, that's again a good point, right? So as far as I would say REST API based methods, yes, we can, and we can make a connect, and we can provide the platform to create those REST APIs, right? Then we have enterprise organizations as well, right? So when you want to create your very large scale of application which is purely based upon your I would say you have to maintain your scalability, you have to maintain your security part also, and then you have to also take care of the robustness of your application. Yes, in that case you can get into this also, right? Any sort of database interaction, any sort of your integration with any other system, right? Yes, you can provide this particular piece, this particular level also, right? Then yes, exactly, that's very true. Startups, so they can use this tools, this stack. Reason is very clear because the people who are into startups, right? So they are very new. They don't want to like get into lots of tools. But we, when it comes to Spring Boot, so it will be very concise, very short, uh, and better way of developing your those applications, right? Web applications, right? Then yes, exactly, we can go for your microservices as well. So when you want to design your microservices so that at the production level we can directly hit those services, and then we can get the resulting as well, right? Then yeah, web developers, that's very true. I think yes, exactly, I'll be using this Spring Boot for for your web developers perspective as well, wherein we will talk about that how your MVC pattern, design pattern can be implemented in this, and how we can create your front-end applications, and then how we can integrate them with your backend applications as well, or you can say services as well, right? So in our program we will see that how you have taken like front end in your React, and suddenly let's say if you want to connect with your some sort of web services, so yes, there you can use your Spring Boot vertical, that is for your web developers part, right? DevOps, yep, yeah, that's very true. So maybe at certain level, like DevOps professionals who manages the deployment and monitoring of your applications written in Java. In that case, also yes, it's worth to go for, because right now the market of cloud is very in boom level. But you will agree on that very soon the same market would be in much more better place, right? No matter we are talking about only the uh, other verticals, but yes, when it comes to deployment of your any, let's say, GSP applications or any your Java based application, so yes, it's good to work on your I would say DevOps based applications, right? Written or you can say crafted in your Spring Boot, right? So utilizing Spring Boot production ready features like actuators for monitoring and health, or you can say to maintain the metrics part, or you want to say to provide the deployment pipelining as well, right? So yes, we should go for this particular thing quite easily, right? So that was the, I would say, who is gonna use Spring Boot, right? Then let's start working with your Spring Boot, right? So to get into that, so first thing is that we should step into Spring Initializer, right? So let's open up this particular site and let's see what is there in this board, right? Wherein we will talk about like different sections of this. So the site is your start.spring.io. So that is a Spring Initializer file, right? So first you need to like check with the project type. It would be Maven, Gradle, or Gradle Coffin, right? I would say to get into with your Maven itself, right? And then when it comes to language, yes, let's go with Java only. Spring Boot version, I would say don't go on higher side, right? So try to have it a little bit on lesser side, right? Then when it comes to project metadata, so let's give it a proper grouping name. Let's say I'm saying example, or let's say dot demo one. You can say any artifact, like for example, let's say I'm saying session 01, right? So you'll see the moment I'm changing this, it'll changing to your name as well as to your package name as well, right? So this will be a like packaging file you want to create, right? Once you are done with this, so let's create with your var file. Then it is showing different versions or flavors of your Java on your own, right? Uh, as of now, I would suggest to go with the var file itself, right? Then when it comes to Java, yes, it would be 22, 21, 17. Let's go with 22 itself. Now, from dependency perspective, here is the right like which you have to go for, right? So, like in our case, let's go with Spring Web, actuator, Spring, if tools, right? Actuators, this thing. Right. So let's go with these three. If you want to get into MySQL as well, you can take it like MySQL driver, right? Otherwise, you can skip. But let's keep it this as well, right? So once you are done with these parameters, you have to just click on generate control, this button, right, and to the center, right? So I'm just clicking on that. Right? You'll see that yes, there is one zip file actually gets created out there on your download location, right? Let me cut this. Let me go on to drive. Let's E drive. Let me create one folder called, let's say, Spring Testing Samples, right? I'm double clicking on that and then just pasting out there, right? So as you can see, like we have downloaded that particular zip file from Spring Initializer. Let me open up with Eclipse. right? File import within. So there are different categories from where we can like go for the code wizard. But let's go with Maven and then existing Maven projects, right? Let's say that specific folder where we have. Okay, I think before that we should. Okay, yeah. Let's extract all. Fine. Extracted the tar folder of them, and from this folder don't go beyond the start, no, just to the root folder where you will have all these specific files, right? I mean like root folder, right? And the moment you get this bar file, this will somehow, you can say, indicate, or you can say will be helpful to get the idea that yes, you are on right track. Once you say finish, you can see in the bottom right, it's showing the progress, right, of importing things out there, and then you can see things will be imported on the left hand side of this project explorer. Double click or expand that, right, you'll find different locations of different files, right? Like I said, if you remember, there was something called application.properties, which is a kind of configuration file for your application, right? Let's do one thing. Let's create a very simple program. Right click onto this new and then class. Give any name. Let's say my service. So this will create one service file for you, right? And then now let's draft this as to be as a controller. Control spacebar to get to that. So REST controller is something like wherein we are looking for this particular class to be available to the client or to the world, right? Outside this particular Spring Boot service space, right? Now with this, let's create one method also to declare or to make it a particular method to be available to the outside service. So let's use get mapping annotation, right? And give a specific endpoint. Let's say I'm saying first, then let's say define the specification of your method. Let's say public string get data, whatever. Just simply return. This is our first demo. Right. See, the idea is like we can return anything, but right now, over here in this example, what we are saying using get data, which is a function we have defined in this my service class. We decoded with this annotation that simply signify when somebody is referring to this service and with this endpoint, so we will get this particular data. That's what exactly the return point is all about, right? Now let's run this. To run this, right click on this, run as, and then there should be presence of Spring Boot. So if you don't have that, so you have to get it installed done on your machine, right? Which I'm sure you must be having. If you don't have, so you have to get into from Eclipse Marketplace, right? Anyways, let me click on that. So as you are running, like you can see, it is running on some specific port because it has been already been used by some other server on my machine. So you can do one thing. You can open up application or properties, which I already told. So let's modify this port number. Let's say 8098. Let's see whether it's working there or not. I'm doing run as, and that's very good. Yeah, I hope it's working now. Yes. Yeah, you can see Tom gets started on port number this with this context part that. Let me copy this and then let me open up with browser, right? So let's go with localhost with this port number, right? I'm pressing enter. So once you get this, so it signify that yes, things are approximately working fine. But let's do it with that. This exactly. So this is our endpoint, this is our port, and this is localhost, right? So that's it. So this is our first thing. Let's make a quick change out there in the same service. Let's do copy paste. I'm doing copy and I'm pasting the same. Let's change it with, let's say second, get it let's say 2. We can make it as, let's say 1. You can see on the bottom things are working in automatically, right? So the moment I say, let's say save control S, let's see the bottom, this is superb, right? So there is no need to get into the reloading again, saving again, compiling again. No, the moment you are doing it, saving, yes, it start working on that. So what I did is, now I'm having two different functions with two different endpoints. Let's try to get into that. So I'm saying alt tab. So rather first, let me try with second. Super. This is our second demo. So that is what exactly the best part is, like we can return anything, whatever you want to return. So that's what about your basic Spring Boot as a service, so that we can place any methods to be, if we want those methods to be available on the as in on the, you can say, public level. So we have to make it as in get mapping. So you can say this annotation is helping us to make this method to be available on this specific endpoint, right? So that's all, guys, right? This is, I think, like for the basic level would be enough for us to understand that how we can in a simpler way, how we can step into your Spring Boot, right? Thanks, guys. Thanks. So hopefully in your next video, so you will get something better, right, related to Spring Boot itself, right? Thanks.